Yes, my people, welcome back to another episode of the Where's My Podcast. Today, I'm joined by another special guest, my guy, Tyrell, the founder of Voir L'avenir.
Not my guy. Good to see you.
Good to see you. No, so it's a good time when we see each other.
Come on.
But yeah, obviously, you know that when I start the pod, I always talk about, just for a short minute, about why the guest is there, why I want you on the podcast.
Yeah.
Obviously, other than the fact that you're my guy and I rate what you're doing, I like your journey.
Yeah.
I like the fact that you started obviously with Blessed Individual. Yeah. It done well. Do you know what I'm saying? I proper liked it. I liked everything you were doing, even when you got to the point where you decided to stop things. And I like the fact that you haven't let that stop you from doing something else that you wanted to do. Obviously, you moved into Voir L'avenir, and I really want to talk about that process of the transition into one thing and going into something else, why that happened. And overall, just your journey within fashion, man. I know even though you're not early on, because obviously you had Blessed Individual, but you're early on.
Still early, yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Still early, man.
So I think your insight will be great for other up-and-coming designers as well, and anybody that's interested in fashion. So thanks for coming on, bro.
No worries. Thanks for having me.
Come on, bro. So yeah, obviously only one place to start. We've got to start right at the beginning. You know, a lot of people that I speak to just in general may be in fashion and they've always started somewhere. There's always like a reason that we can get to the bottom of why they're doing what you're doing, which is running your own brand. So yeah, man, why fashion?
I've always liked clothes. I'll be honest, it's something I've always had an interest in, and I've always been like a creative person. So I just felt like I might as well put the two together. My journey, how I came into fashion, was just it was weird, innit? Like, obviously I just spoke to my cousin. Obviously I was at him, asked him about a trap star hat. And then he just phoned me back 10 minutes later, like, why don't we start our own brand? wait. It was mad like that.
Tyrell, you're going fast. It
was mad.
So obviously, I know it wasn't that simple, but I guess looking back, you kind of simplify it, innit? So obviously, you're saying that you were always interested in fashion.
Yeah.
Like, why do you think that was? Do you know what I mean? Because don't get me wrong, like, not to say where we're from isn't a fashionable area, because it's not. It is fashionable.
Yeah,
like West London is known for being a fashionable place, but like it's not fucking Paris or Milan. Do you know what I'm saying? So why were you interested in fashion if you do know?
It's just more like I just wanted to look fly, innit? That was the main thing. Naturally. Like that's it. Like I've always looked fly from young, innit? My mum and dad dressed me well, and like I've always been interested in the whole like designer element. So I felt like if someone else can do it, why can't I, innit? So that was the main reason why I got into it. Yeah.
And you know, obviously, before I was speaking about where we're from and whatnot, and I said West London is quote unquote fashionable. You know, some people would say that. Do you feel like being from West, and you can elaborate on that? Do you feel like that's influenced the type of clothing you started making, and why you got into fashion?
Yeah, definitely. I feel like because obviously we've got trap star from here, so everyone's just like, oh, these men are obviously from the hood, innit? So it was definitely like a way forward for everyone to go into fashion. Like, like if trap star can do it, then obviously someone else from West can do it. And yeah, like they were a big influence. I'll definitely say that. Definitely.
And obviously you said you saw the hat or whatever.
Yeah.
And was like, it was a trap star hat, right?
Yeah, I saw there was a trap star hat, and then I phoned my cousin, and I was just like, oh, like, can you get this? And then it literally was 10 minutes later, he called me. It's like, why don't we start our own brand? I'm like 16, 17 these times. So I'm just like,
you're just in college these times.
Yeah, I'm like, yeah, cool. I know 100 people. Like, let's get it popping. Like, so it was like that. That was literally it. That's how it started.
You know how you said that point about 100 people?
Yeah.
Why did you think like that?
I just thought, listen, I know 100 people, and obviously, back then you have bare friends, so you're thinking everyone's gonna support me. Come on, like it's man there, isn't it? Like so obviously, man started off 100 tees, 100 hats, and then
wow, that's a big order, bro.
Man thought we knew the whole
you knew the pattern.
Yeah, like we knew the pattern, innit? Like man know bare people, so we're thinking, it's calm, like we'll get rid of this. It's an issue. Not understanding like the fundamentals of everything. So it's just a case of man just not really using my brain, just thinking, popular, I can use that to my advantage. Obviously, finding out later, it's not that. It's not that. So yeah, like that was the thinking behind it.
And in terms of ordering, the 100, would you say 100 t-shirts, 100
hats,
100 hats? Yeah. Like, obviously, we're not old.
Yeah, of course.
But we're not super young either. Do you know what I'm saying? So back then, 8 odd years ago, there wasn't that much access to, finding out or trying to understand how to build a brand. Do you know what I'm saying? And actually build a fashion clothing line. So what was that process like of you learning where to order things from, what sort of things to order, how to print onto t-shirts and whatnot?
I just used to go on Google. That's the only thing I'd use. I just use like t-shirt printing and then look for prices, and then I'll just go like hat suppliers. Everything I just found out was through Google myself. I didn't really know anyone that was doing anything like this, so it was just I had to do it myself.
Like your cousin wasn't doing anything like that?
Nah. I was just the one finding everything out, and then me and him would just go down there and then just go sort out the business, and then
simple as that.
Yeah, simple as that.
So when did Blessed Individual come into, like, was that the first
that
name?
That was a start. Like
that was literally the first name you guys had.
Yeah, that was a start, innit? Obviously, it was like a family thing, innit? And obviously, it comes from like a religious, obviously, sort of meaning. But the way like man's tried to intertwine it is like it's your own. Like everyone's a blessed individual. There could be your talent, looks, whatever you want to categorize it as. And that was how man came up with the name. And then it started then.
Wait, who came up with the name? You or your cousin?
No, my cousin.
Oh, okay, you saying you're not even gonna claim that?
No. My cousin came up with that name, yeah. And then obviously, like man just started. The first logo I done on my phone.
On what?
I just found one app and I just done it on there, and it was like a star, 2 angel wings, and then just blessed individual.
Hey, that's so like old school brand. Like that's the sort of clothing we would have seen in Global. Remember Global?
Yeah. It was literally that. And then obviously, as man started developing down the journey and started learning stuff, but it was like stop and start these times. So it was a good journey though. I'll be real.
No, definitely. And looking in hindsight, or just me remembering when I first saw it and stuff, I was like, like this is sick. Obviously, them times I didn't know you, but I knew people that you knew. Like Brian, I always used to see Brian wearing Blessed Individual. I'm like, wow, like what's this? Like it's simple, but I like it. Yeah, and on top of that, I like the message. So in terms of when you first started the brand and whatnot, what was the reaction like? Who were you selling to? Was it working? Were things going well? Yeah.
So like within the first 5 years, I'll be real, it was just man them. Like literally man them, maybe a few people that I didn't know. And obviously in them times, I don't really know too much. I'll be real. I didn't know too much about like fabrics, or like it was just me just designing on Photoshop and just thinking, this might work, or like this may work, and just going off that. Then obviously when it got to like the 5th year, I don't know, something happened, and then in terms of like on Twitter, and then the brand just exploded. From there, when I started doing like more graphics, I started doing graphic tees, and then I started getting more notes through that, and then obviously from there getting orders all over the world, sort of thing.
Ooh, when you say all over the world, what sort of countries?
Like Sweden, America, Germany.
What happened on Twitter?
I don't know. It was like people were just like, I think it was like one thread. There was one thread in it, and then I just dropped like maybe 4 pictures of like tees and hoodies that I had, and the tweet just blew up. Like it just like, I think it got like 200 retweets, like bare quote tweets, people, and then just bare people following the brand, and it just went from there. Once it bust open like that, it was just like consistent.
Now you were in like a whole different space. Before it was just selling to the man them.
Yeah, it was just selling to man them. Where now I'm just like, like having to tell man them like, like if you want me to reserve it, like.
Ooh, that's wild. Shit changed like that.
Yeah, like it was getting mad. So it was good, man, that time.
But how? Obviously, you're saying you were only selling to man them or whatnot. I know you probably know people, but nobody like it doesn't seem like anybody would know enough people to actually sustain a brand for 5 years. So how were you able to do that?
Obviously, man's putting own bread in as well. So I'm putting my own money in, and then obviously I'm always making sure that I'm making enough money to do the next collection, and then do the next collection and go like that. In terms of photo shoots, I don't even think I was going too big on them. It was more like outdoor, and it was maybe like just using man them as well again, so I can keep costs down. So in terms of that, that's how I just kept it going. And then I think something, I don't know, I was like, something needs to change. Obviously, I started to learn more, started to learn how to use Photoshop, and then I started doing the graphics myself. So it was like, all right, cool, now I can understand like how this works. From there, it just went.
And you know how you were basically saying how you didn't really know anything.
Yeah.
Back then, do you feel like it was easier to run a brand? And that's like it's a bit of a weird question in the sense that you can look at it from either side. You know what I'm saying? You could say it was harder because there was less access to information about how to run a brand, but it was almost like it was easier because the bar was kind of lower in a weird way.
Yeah, I agree with what
do you get what I mean? Like you could really just think of a logo, slap it on a t-shirt, and sustain the brand for 5 years.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Go through. Back then, it wasn't as compact as it is now. Like, it's obviously a lot of brands are here now, whereas back in the day, it wasn't that. It was just a couple and you're here and there. But yeah, like, I feel like it's good in general. Like, everyone's got their own individual like talents, obviously, that works for their brand. And I feel like now is obviously it's better because you have more access to information, and obviously you can learn off other people as well. People are more willing to connect now, whereas back in the day it was more like secretive, like, oh no, I can't tell this.
More clicky.
Yeah, like it was a bit weird. Like you couldn't really speak to certain people. Where now everyone you can speak to, like they'll tell you stuff like, just don't take the mick, innit?
What, you really experienced that when you were running Blessed Individual? Like you would try to hit people up for help and answers and whatnot.
I didn't even know anyone. I'll keep it real. Like in terms of that, I just didn't know anyone. So it was like I just got to just go for it myself. Whereas obviously as I started to develop more, I'll start to see more people, and then like obviously I'll hit certain people up, and then they'll get back in it. It's not really an issue. But in terms of I don't really ask anyone for help, so it's not really like sort of that thing.
So your network basically just grew and naturally.
Yeah, it just grew naturally. Yeah.
Sorry to stick on this particular point, but kind of backtracking to what I was saying about the Barbie-in-law and whatnot. Yeah. You kind of mentioned not having to put a lot of effort. Not effort, but when it came to your photo shoots, for example, you were saying it's nowhere near compared to what you were doing now.
No, 100%. Yeah. In terms of even running a brand, I wasn't even putting much effort in, bro. I would literally wait for an order. If it comes through, cool, pack it, go back to playing FIFA. I'll keep it so 100.
Were you studying at the time as well?
Yeah, I'm studying and then like chilling, watching Netflix. There'll be sometimes where you get that little sprout of motivation. Let me do some stuff. Like, but it wasn't like I didn't have a sort of a plan or know what to do. It was just I'm just taking this day by day. It's
like there weren't even like an infrastructure. It was literally just day by day.
Literally just day by day.
Do you know what's so interesting about what you're saying, Tyrell? Yeah. I'm hearing everything you're saying, and you were able, I'm sure, to make a bit of money off running the brand very easily. So then that kind of makes me think, why would anyone in that position stop? Do you get what I mean?
Yeah, I get what you mean. Do you know what it was? I said something on Twitter the other day, like obviously as a creator.
What about United?
Make sure that can it was like obviously as a creator, don't put yourself in a box, innit?
Yeah.
Like in terms of design and everything, and I felt like that's what I was doing. In terms of graphics, everything, I felt like I was just in a box. Like if I ever tried to shift, it would have been too hard. And as I was developing as a designer and obviously a brand owner, and I'm starting to understand fashion more, understand fabrics, obviously I want to get more creative. I want to do different stuff and different silhouettes, but I felt like I couldn't do that with that brand. And
why did you feel like that though?
I just felt like I'd already been put in a box, and it would have been too hard to come out of it.
Put in a box by who?
Just in general, just as a creator, not by anyone. Just in general, as a creator, it would have been hard to shift from graphics to doing something else, because then people obviously they follow me expecting just graphics. So for me to shift to something else, obviously it would have been a bit harder to sort of transition. So I felt like, let me just reset, come back, take the knowledge I've learned from there, and then apply it to my new venture.
So before we get to the end of Blessed Individual, you obviously mentioned what happened on Twitter. Yeah. So things kind of blew up for a bit. Yeah. So how long did that last until you kind of said, yeah, I'm done with this?
It lasted till the end, I'll be honest.
And
it still kept going until I finished.
And how long was that?
When did I start? It might have been like end of 2019.
Damn, so you had Blessed Individual for how many years?
I think I started it might have been 2000. When did we start Collie?
Weren't that 2013 or 2012 or something?
Yeah,
like we're giving our age now.
It might be then, yeah, 2013.
Okay.
But obviously, like I said, it weren't consistent then. It was just on and off and just here and there. But then I started taking it consistently as I got to like second year of uni. And then from then, I was just doing it consistently.
How were you able to manage that whilst you were in university? And what were you studying?
I studied marketing. And to be honest, I don't even think uni was that hard. I'll keep it real. It was fairly easy. So managing it weren't a problem. Because obviously, I'm a person, I like to get stuff done early. So as soon as I've given an assignment, I'll pattern it. I'll break it into sections. Might do a paragraph a day or something.
Yeah.
Like, just
like a process.
Yeah, like I'll do it just so it's easier for me in the long run. So in terms of managing it, it wasn't that hard. And I didn't really have much to do at home. So it's like if I do have to do a lot of uni, go home and do what I need to do.
Yeah. And in terms of obviously your marketing degree,
did
that kind of influence your, because I want to get into your psyche. I want to say that, I mean, I want to understand why you felt like you needed to transition, innit?
Yeah.
And was the things you were learning within your marketing degree part of what kind of got you to start thinking in this sort of way? Like, I feel boxed in by Blessed Individual because what I've learned in marketing is that if you want to reach this type of people, you need to present your brand in this type of way. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, of course. No, I think that's definitely a reason why. Like, I felt like the perception of the brand was already portrayed as like a streetwear brand, like just streetwear. Like, if I tried to do anything else, it would have been very hard. And also, I felt like how I've already put that perception out, for me to try like change it, it would have been very difficult, and it could have either damaged the brand and even damaged me as a designer. So I felt like it was just, I might as well reset.
When you say that, what do you mean?
Like, cause say for example, right, you followed me for the graphic hoodies that you used to see. Then now in like a year or so, you see me just doing, I don't know, blank hoodies or something else like suits. Just a random example. Yeah. You're gonna be like, what's going on with this brand? Like, what the hell is going on? You'll be like, what's going on with this brand? So that's what I'm saying. If I tried to transition from something else, it would have been very hard for that to happen.
So cool. So let's actually talk about what it was like finishing, like, Blessed Individual. Like, how did you feel at the time? How did the people around you feel? Because, bro, I can't lie to you, even though we didn't know each other at the time, these were the times where I feel like I had just started Where's My TV or whatever. We had just started Where's My TV, and I was fishing around for brands and stuff. And I came across Blessed Individual, and then these times you had just started doing like your Blessed Individual kind of content series. Yeah, where you were like speaking to like singers and stuff or dancers, whatever, people that you felt were talented, didn't it?
Yeah,
so obviously I'm seeing that stuff. I'm like, like, this is sick. One, I like the clothes, and two, I also like the fact that they're, you know, trying to build a perception around the brand that aligns with what the brand seems to be like to me anyway. Do you know what I'm saying? So when I found out you were stopping it, bro, I was upset. No, real speak. I was upset, bro. Do you know what I mean? So how did you feel, and how did your loved ones feel?
Obviously, like, it was a difficult decision, I'll be honest, innit? But I felt like it was definitely the right one to do. Obviously, like, the people around me was just like, like, go with your gut, innit? Like, obviously, whatever your gut's telling you is obviously the right thing to do. Like, regardless, you're still gonna win in the end, whatever you decide to do. So it was also like, everyone was just like,
they believed in you.
Yeah, believed in me, like, because obviously they've seen what I've done, how I've taken Blessed Individual, and obviously what I've learned. So it's like, cool, you've had enough lessons from Blessed Individual to apply it to Voir L'avenir. So.
Cool, that is the perfect segue. Voir L'avenir, what is it? What does it stand for? How did you come up with the name? Everything. Tell me everything from that, from the minute you said Blessed Individual's done to Voir L'avenir started. All
right, cool. So when I made the decision of obviously like Blessed Individual being done, obviously like it wasn't like a good time at that moment of life, innit? Obviously, because I'm thinking like, like, what am I gonna do? Like, sort of like, I've obviously built this up, and like, bare people know me like for doing this, and then obviously it was like, people just like, like, just relax, like, just envision your future, like, see your future, which is literally what Voir L'avenir means. It basically means see the future, and obviously that's how I came up with the name.
It has such a nice ring to it, you know.
Yeah.
There's no way you put it in French straight away. There must have been.
No, I was testing hella different languages. I tried Greek, I tried Arabic. I was just seeing what, and then I was just like, let me just see how French looks, innit? And then it looked nice. It looked like it fit perfect. And then how I done the first logo, I was like, yeah, this is well.
The first logo you got was what you're using now?
No, it's the same, but it's just it was a bit spaced out.
Okay.
Yeah.
So even the font, everything.
Yeah.
Wow, that's mad. That's like hitting a pot of gold, like getting that lucky. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no.
Like from the fact you got the name and like the typography or whatever you want to call it to resonate with what you want the brand to represent.
Yeah, 100%.
First time, that's mad. That's God's work, bro.
Nah, it was
God's
good.
rewarding you for having Blessed Individual.
No, yeah, it was good. It worked well. Then I was like, all right, cool. This works. Then obviously from then I just started. I had like I think I had like a 6-month period out
of what?
Just fashion.
Okay.
It might have been like 6 months. It might have been shorter. I don't remember. But then obviously I was just doing samples, seeing like how it looks embroidered. But obviously I had a plan anyway. So because I'd done the graphics, I was like, let me not start this with the graphics, because then I don't want it to again get boxed in.
Yeah, it was almost like it would even be too close.
Too close to best individual. And I didn't want people to think, oh, like you're basically just doing the same brand. Like, so what I've done is obviously I spoke to Olu and like my loved ones and that, and obviously I said I'm gonna do a simple first collection where it's just a name. Obviously play around with colors and see people's reaction. Obviously the reaction was hit and miss, like, because everyone that follows me on my Twitter is for Blessed Individual.
Of course.
Well, started from Blessed Individual. So it's like, bro, where's your graphic tees? What are you doing? So it was like, all right, cool.
But man were really hitting you up and saying that?
Nah, like, man was like, oh, like, where's Blessed Individual? Like, you're not doing it. Obviously, I'm referring them to the new brand. And then obviously it's like, they're not seeing graphic tees. So at that time, I'm like, all right, cool. That's not an issue. That one was all right. Done that. Learned what I needed to learn from that. That was the main thing. I didn't care about the bread at that time. It wasn't that. It was just, let me learn what I need to learn about this brand from that collection, which I did. Then, it went on to the next drop, which was like the cream tracksuit.
Cold.
Which, that one done.
Went off.
That went off, like, in terms of interactions, like, followers, everything. That one obviously started to ring bells.
Really nice tracksuit.
Yeah, that one. And then obviously it went on to the next one, which is Snake and Rose. But then that one, obviously now I reflect back on it, I didn't do the content as good as I should have. So it's like, all right, cool. This is a good product, but I just didn't do the content as good as I should have. But
do you know what, Tyrell? I'm going to park that off and I'm going to try to remember. Man, then remember, whatever minute we're at, Tyrell mentioned the content for the Snake and Rose drop not being what it was, innit? Just remember that for me, please, yeah? Because I want to speak about... I'm going to go back to that. Obviously, with Blessed Individuals, logo, graphic designing onto a T-shirt. You know what I'm saying? Now, with Voir L'avenir, you're moving into a whole different ball game. Like, this is completely different. So I just want you to kind of break down what it was like transition into this sort of space where you're learning how to do cut and sew designing and whatnot. So what was that like?
No, I'll be honest, it was very hard, like, to transition, because I'm having to learn about fabrics, learn about, like, when you're washing it, like, does it shrink? Does the color, like, does it change? All this stuff that I just don't know, like, I just don't know. So I'm just obviously going with the flow. I'm having to learn, like, patterns, and just, like, there's so many small details that you just don't realize, innit? Obviously, like, the hood size and the pocket size, like, I'm not really focusing on it. I just focus on the full product. So obviously when I'm making it and I'm seeing it, it's like, all right, cool. Maybe this needs to change. But it was definitely a big transition, where that's why I felt like 2021 was a good year, because I learned so much about the whole process while having a good year for the brand, which that means obviously I can just apply it to the next following years.
100%. So in terms of learning that stuff, where do you start? Because a lot of our listeners will have similar ambitions to you, or be in literally the same situation as you, where they had a certain type of brand, they felt like it got kind of boxed in, they were doing graphic design, and now they want to move into a different space, the sort of space you're in. Like, where do you start?
I probably looked. I was on Google. That was the first place I looked. Google, like, oh, what do you do? Like, if you want to make a product, stuff like that. And the main thing for me is how I learn is actually doing it, innit? I don't learn by reading or anything like that. Let me do it, then I'll understand it, then go from there. So obviously, I just started obviously going on Google and started learning, like, about just tech packs. I didn't know anything about tech packs, anything about, obviously I didn't know anything about patterns, like I said, anything about fabrics, strings. Like, there's so many elements that I just didn't know about. So obviously, as I'm just going with the flow, I'm just learning from each drop. So obviously, in terms of, like, the cream drop, obviously I learned about fabrics through that, like in terms of, like, shrinkage, and obviously how does it still hold its quality, the weight, just stuff like that. It's more like learning through the journey.
And when you're saying learning through the journey, does that, when you break that down, is that like, for example, you're with the manufacturer, you're asking the manufacturer questions, you're like asking people around you that, let's say, do something similar to what you do, you're asking them questions? Is that what you mean when you say, I know learning through the journey is tangibly doing the things yourself?
No, like, I'll ask people, like, maybe, or I'll read, like, because there's one fashion book that I got.
Oh, okay. What's that called?
I'll be bad. I don't know it, but maybe I'll send you the link.
Yeah, it's afterwards. I'll put it in.
Yeah. So I read that as well, which basically, like, it breaks down, like, a nice journey of, like, if you want to make a product, what to look at, this, that, fabrics. Like, it's a good book. I'll be honest. I'll read that. And then in terms of like, the last thing I'll do is ask someone, because I don't ever like asking people for help in terms of like for them to just throw it back in your face. So I'll just rather go on Google and then do that first. And if it's like a last resort, I might ask someone and see what they say. I don't want them to feel like I'm asking them just to use them. Yeah. So that sort of element. So
literally that, all the learnings and whatnot. And cool. So in terms of Voir L'avenir, you've spoken about the name. In terms of what you think the brand represents and like who you kind of want it to appeal to, that's something I want to break down as well. Because obviously with Blessed Individual, like what is it the same? Because the clothing's so different. Yeah. You can't be like targeting the same people.
Nah, not the same people. No.
So who are you kind of targeting with Blessed Individual? What sort of, I said individual. who are you kind of targeting with Blessed Individual? And like what sort of people, what sort of crowds are you trying to reach with Voir L'avenir? And that difference, why is there a difference now? What's changed in you that's made you want to reach different types of people?
So obviously back then I was targeting 16 to 22, because that was like the age we was around, and that was the time that a lot of people wearing graphic tees. So I was targeting more streetwear, people that were listening to like drill and hip hop and stuff like that. So it was more streetwear, like man that just want to slap on a hoodie and cut out stuff like that. Whereas with this now, it's more older people, so it's more like 24 to 35 men, people who want to look like, I want you to wear Voir L'avenir on a night out. Like, you don't want to get this dirty sort of thing. Whereas Blessed Individual is more like an everyday thing. Okay. I feel like this is more like, nah, don't touch me if I'm wearing this. So it's like, I used to, with this one, I categorize it different. Like, don't get me wrong, I dive into streetwear, but I'm not based on a streetwear brand. That's what I would say.
I think the analogy or the example you gave of everyday compared to like not wanting to get this dirty. Yeah. I think that's sick, and I'm thinking of what the two brands are like, and I can really see that. Do you know what I mean? So obviously the different audiences and whatnot. It kind of just sounds like you kind of outgrew Blessed Individual.
You can say that. I'll say like, obviously as a designer, I started to grow a bit more and learn a bit more, and it was like I felt like I needed to maybe move away from that. And like Blessed Individual, did you feel like you kind of learned everything you could have learned from that sort of journey? Because as you said, it got kind of easy. Yeah. So you learned everything, and now was the time to basically take those learnings into something else. Yeah, I felt like I learned a lot through Blessed Individual. I felt like it was a sick journey, and like I said, I learned all the skills that I apply now, I learned through Blessed Individuals. So without that, I probably wouldn't have been doing Voir L'avenir now. I'll be honest.
What sort of things? And the reason I asked that is because what you're doing is quite different. Before, you were literally on Photoshop and whatnot, the app on your phone, creating a logo, finding a manufacturer, buying blanks, getting them to print it or whatever, and then selling it. Whereas now, you're literally going through the whole process. So what have you actually taken from Blessed Individual into Voir L'avenir?
I would say, obviously, my Photoshop skills have definitely developed from Blessed Individual. Even like stuff to like coding, like my own website, I'll do myself.
What? I didn't know you do that.
I do it on Shopify, but there's certain elements I code in. Yeah. And then like just logistics, understanding logistics, like sending out packaging products, like even like down to fabrics, like the GSM, all of that stuff I learned through Blessed Individual. I just like customer service, not even customer service, because you learn that sort of every day. It's just how you're dealing with people. And then in terms of like just customer relationship, like how it can develop. And just in terms of content, like how it gets out there, like is it the content or is it the products? Like, so I learned little stuff like that. So Blessed Individual, I feel like taught me a lot.
And I agree. Everything you're saying about the content as well, because obviously I was speaking about the Blessed Individual content that I was seeing at the time. And remember, I told the man to park off that thought for me. Luckily, I remember it myself. So obviously, you were speaking about the Snake and Rose drop. Yeah. You didn't do what you needed to do in terms of content and whatnot. Why is content so important to you? And what actually happened with that drop? What was the issue?
There wasn't really an issue. Do you know what it was? I feel like because I was just so excited from like the reaction. Because for the tracksuit, cream tracksuit drop, I had so much content. I only put out like a quarter of it because it sold out so quick.
So you just stopped that basically, and
then obviously it went on to I was like, all right, cool, I have to do another drop. But where I only got a small amount of content of that at the studio I was at, I had to do an outdoor shoot. So obviously it made it a bit more difficult. So it's like I wanted to do an outdoor shoot, but I didn't in the same sense. So it was like my content styles weren't the same. I didn't have videos from that collection. I just had pictures. And obviously in terms of like, obviously I edit the pictures myself. So in terms of that, I just felt like the quality from the tracksuit to that jump was like a down.
Ooh, you feel like it was a downgrade almost?
Yeah, because the quality of the content for the cream tracksuit, I felt that was 10 out of 10. I'd say this one, it didn't match that. But then, like I said, I learned a lesson. Cool, content's everything. If it's not going up in terms of even product, it's not better than the last one, I won't put it out.
And in terms of the difference in content, did that reflect in how the clothing performed, how the sales performed? If that's
Definitely. On certain products, because this the Temptation collection, certain products within that done well. There was only like maybe one that didn't. So it's like, cool. Maybe I'm either being too harsh on the metrics, or maybe I'm just comparing it to how the last drop done. So it
depends which way you look at it.
Depends on which way you look at it.
Yeah. So obviously we're speaking about content, and I like having these conversations with you about content, because even watching your content, wow, how many times am I going to say content? Even watching your content, I can see how much effort goes into it for one, and how important you believe it is. So from your opinion, and like to the other fashion designers, fashion people listening, what goes into making good content? What is good content?
This is the thing, like, because I ask myself this every day, innit? Obviously, I think it's the product, like, because when I start going back to like what banged the most, looking at analytics, it will be like just a plain picture, like maybe like I haven't put much effort into it. It might even be a picture of myself where just out with the man them wanting to take a picture, and I'm like, this is where you have to sort of understand what works well for your brand, because obviously some brands, videos might work well, but it may not work well for you. Pictures might work well, but it may not work well for another brand. Like maybe just natural pictures might work well, but it may not work for another brand. So I feel like you just need to understand what works well for your brand. And I felt like last year, that was what I had to learn, like just understand what works well for this brand. And obviously now I have to just apply it to this new year.
I totally agree. I think that's a sick point. And in terms of understanding what sort of, in fact, you know, scratch that question, I kind of wanted to ask about, let's talk about Blessed Individual,
Cool.
I feel like it was a more like personality orientated brand in a weird way. And I think that kind of reflects in the decision you made when you started making those, I don't know what to call it.
Graphic tees.
No, not the graphic tees. Like, you know, the videos,
the series.
So the Blessed Individual series, you know what I'm saying? Having Blessed Individual, such a name, it kind of gave you scope to make content like that.
Yeah.
With what you're doing now, and like, just let's say the luxury space in general. Sometimes you feel quite restricted in the content you can make.
No, I can make that content as well. I have plans to make that content. It's just I'm not rushing it.
Oh, I don't mean. I don't mean you have to make that exact.
No, of course. Do you mean? Do I feel like in a box to make a certain type of content?
Yes, exactly that.
Nah, man. I want to show my personality, creativity. Like just because I'm doing luxury, I feel like luxury is an experience. So in terms of me being a luxury brand, it's more the experience you get from the brand. Like obviously you'll be able to tell the quality from the pictures and stuff. Facts. So that will already give you a good perception, and when you get it, I just want to give you a better perception.
I'm so happy you said that, you know, because I feel like back in the day or whatever, where we look at like the history of luxury, quote unquote, and kind of what we associate it with, we associate luxury with like French aristocracy and all of that stuff, and like luxury was kind of associated with exclusivity for one, and like mystique as well. Do you know what I mean? Because the layman, the common person, wouldn't understand why this piece of clothing is so expensive. The normal person wouldn't be able to access certain types of clothes. They just wouldn't get it. Do you know what I'm saying? So I find it interesting, and I like the fact that you've kind of changed the meaning of luxury into the experience you're offering, and you're not allowing that to limit the type of content you can make, and you're putting your own personality into the content you make.
Definitely.
Yeah, I really like that. Like, for example, I was watching one of your reels today, and obviously I heard your voice in the background and that. Bro, there would have been a time where man would have heard your voice and said, that's not luxury. You know what I'm saying? But how can somebody say that?
It's all perception.
You know what I mean?
I feel like everything's perception. That's why I say you need to understand how you brand your stuff. Because obviously, like I said, if you start branding it a certain way, customers are going to get that perception in your box. Now, you can change, but obviously it might be a bit harder. So I feel like in terms of luxury, people need to get out of the sense of this like high end, like sort of thing. Because bro, luxury is whatever you put it as, and that's what I feel, innit? Someone else might say different, but from my, it's more the experience. How does it make you feel, innit? Like if I go buy a Goose today, I may not feel great about buying it, but if I go buy like a UK brand, they might send me a wavy box. The swing tags might be sick. I might keep them, like just stuff like luxury. That. Yeah, that's luxury, man.
Yeah, no, I like that. That's I like that. We got to clip that one still. I like that one. So, what question was I gonna ask? Wow, thank you so much for that. You got a spot on camera. You got one. But oh my gosh, I had a question in my head, man. Okay, let me just make it a bit more generic.
Cool.
I can't even remember if this was the exact question I had, but obviously, going back to like the transition, Blessed Individuals one way, Voir L'avenir is a different way. Yeah. What's been the most difficult thing about that transition, and what's like the most difficult thing when it comes to running the type of brand you're running now?
I think for me at the start, the most difficult thing was like the awareness, because it's like man's gone from, in terms of having bare people know and then I'm watching till like, cool, I have to do this all again. So it was like, my head at first was like, bro, why is
working?
Yeah, why are they not, like, why is no one looking? Yeah. But obviously these times I'm just thinking, like, I'm transitioning, so it's new, innit? I'm thinking like, why is my followers this, or why is it that? Obviously I'm looking at dumb metrics like, oh, why is this, why is this that? And obviously you start thinking like, raw, is this actually, like, should I go back to what I was doing, or should I do this? So it was probably that, to be honest.
Like you proper had that mental battle, like.
Yeah, like I had to like get through that first hurdle of like just relax. Remember, I had to go back to remembering how Blessed Individual actually grew. Yeah. It didn't grow within a week or a day. It took 5 years for me to get like 2.5k followers.
Wow. Yeah. I'm so happy you put it like that as well, you know. And I asked this question to a lot of our guests, yeah. In a world where everything is so data driven and so number driven, especially on social media, everything is analytics. Do you know what I'm saying? How you kind of alluded to it already, but I kind of want you to elaborate on it.
Yeah.
How do you like keep your mind away from that? Because obviously you said that there were times you felt like, oh, have I made the right decision, or why are people not coming, or do you know what I'm saying? Why am I not getting the numbers I feel like this sort of content deserves? How do you combat that sort of thought process?
You know what? I actually stopped looking at it, I'll be honest. In terms of like, I don't look at that stuff anymore, because when you start, you know what? I've been reading like quite a bit of books now, and obviously there's one book I'm reading, I think it's called like The Company of One.
The Company of One?
I think that's what it's called. But basically it's saying like, you should always focus on what you actually have at that time. Because say for example, like, cool, I've got a group of people now who buy from Voir L'avenir. If I'm not focusing on them and giving them a good experience, they're not going to want to go tell other people or want to buy from the brand again, because I'm focusing on getting like, newer people. Whereas how I realized Blessed Individual grew was from just focusing on doing my own thing, not even looking at the numbers, just putting out the product, let it speak for itself. Let it speak for itself. Then people start, oh yeah, I got this cold hoodie from here. Then that person gets it. So just generating that word of mouth. I feel like you got to do that, and you got to block out all the likes and the followers. Cool, it looks good, and it's a nice ego feeling. Yeah, it's amazing. Like, what? I got 10k followers.
That serotonin boost, innit?
Yeah, like it's a nice little ego thing, but you got to be realistic in terms of like, cool, you got 10k followers, but they're not all customers or fans of the brand. They're just looking at you.
They might just like your pictures.
Yeah, they might just like your pictures, which might be great for you. If you want that, that's good. Then it's calm. Yeah. But for me, I want to create like a community around it. I'd rather create a community. I swear, I don't care about none of them metrics.
And what goes into creating a community? Because that's the word community is something we hear a lot.
Yeah, it's getting thrown around a lot.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Especially when you associate it with social media, building a brand, building a community. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, what actually goes into that?
I just think being authentic, like just showing people what goes on. Like, that's what I do the behind the scene. Like, I'm not perfect at photo shoots. You know, I'll be honest. That's probably my weakest point, like the photo shoot element. So I'll show people what goes on behind photo shoots. Like it's banter there. Like it's not all serious. Obviously, everyone works as we're meant to, but it's all man them, so we're all just having fun. So it just makes sense. But like every brand owner or person has a weakness. Like I might see another brand owner and think like, "Raw, they're doing amazing," but they might have gone through what I'm going through, and I might be better than them. And it just you got to focus on yourself at these times, man.
And do you feel like this question's more of like just an opinion, almost like a theoretical question? Yeah. And it's not necessarily, you don't necessarily have to think about fashion when you're answering it. But do you really feel like authenticity is valued now?
I feel like
you get why I asked that as well, though.
Yeah, I get what you mean. In certain elements, it's not, because you do see a lot of fugazi stuff. But I feel like in terms of like just seeing through what goes on and like the process in that term, then yeah, definitely. Like I would want to see like how a Canada Goose is made. If they ever made like a video of the making of Canada Goose or something like that, or like the making of Valentino train or something like that, you'd want to see that if you enjoy the brand. Like all the Amiri videos where he's doing like the behind the scenes stuff, I watch all that stuff because I like that brand. So I feel like in that sense, it's definitely valued.
And have you kind of seen that reaction in the sense that obviously your Voir L'avenir journey is still young, do you know what I mean? But even early on, have people resonated with that type of content? Yeah,
people love it. They're like, this is sick. Like, obviously, we like what you're doing. So I just keep doing what I'm doing. Obviously, I try to switch up. You don't want to get too repetitive, and
of course,
it seems like you're running out of ideas. But no, like I feel like me just showing people like what I do day to day. Because like I say, I'm a normal human being. Like I'm not a machine. So, and I'm doing like majority of it's by myself. So it's not like, obviously, I love like fashion and I love the brand, innit? But there is times where I'll lock off for a bit or like spend time with someone and just stuff like that.
Of course, naturally. Speaking about authenticity, obviously you do the behind the scenes and that, it's your voice in it and whatnot. This question might throw you off a bit, but like, I think now that you're here, let's be as authentic as we can be whilst you're here. Do you know what I mean? Cool. Like who is Tyrell? Who is the founder of Voir L'avenir? Do you know what I mean? That's a difficult question to answer because obviously we're all so multifaceted. But if somebody put you on the spot, which I'm doing now, and said, "Who are you?" Like, what would you say to them?
I can't lie, you know. I'm not a serious person. I'll be honest. Like, I'll keep it so real. Like in terms of like, I'm here for just having jokes. Like, I'm here for like taking a mick out of each other. Like it's just all banter and like obviously like man loves sports and like playing games and that, like just stuff like that. Like I'm just a normal brother. Like I'm not one of these fucking machines that just like. Don't get me wrong. Like for this, I go ham
naturally.
That's because I like it. I enjoy it. Like so, obviously, and with me, I'm like disciplined. Like for me, if I start something, I have to do well in it. Like I'm not on the failing thing in anything. Like I don't like losing or nothing like that. Like I'm a sore loser. So in terms of like, if I start something, it has to finish on like my terms or like how I want it to finish.
Like your go getter.
But in terms of like my personality, like man's just a normal guy, man. Just a normal guy. Like.
I'm so happy I thought to ask you that question and the way you answered it, because I'm sure that the listeners, the people watching, are gonna be like, "Bro, he's just a normal boy." Like,
like you know, when I watch some of these videos, I'm like, these guys are too serious. Like, bro, where's your personality,
relate, bro? Like you can't relate.
Yeah, bro. Like bro, I'm a normal bro. Like. If you want to play me at FIFA for money, hit me up. If you
have to add the for money, innit?
Like, if you want to do that, like, brother, we can do that. As long as I've done what I needed to do, it's calm. Like, it's just normal vibes. Like,
yeah, that's how it should be, man. I think it's good for the listeners, you know, the up and coming designers as well, to see that the man behind the brand that they've been seeing, Voir L'avenir, it's just a normal brand. Because if you see that it's just a normal guy, whether you're man or woman, you're like, if he can do it, I can do it too. Do you know what I mean? And I'm happy that. I feel like you're not the only person that thinks like that. No. I feel like that sentiment that you have is definitely growing. More people are embracing being themselves and not feeling like they have to pretend to be someone just to have a brand or this type of brand. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, man. But do you know what? To round off, I want to ask you a few more questions. Like,
cool.
Obviously, 2021, we kind of spoke about outside. Like, how do you think it went for yourself and Voir L'avenir? And in terms of 2022, we're recording this on, what's the date? I looked at my watch, like it's got the date on it.
Wait.
January the 6th, thanks, Ollie. January the 6th, like, so it's a perfect time to ask, what are your goals for 2022?
For me, it's more just getting the brand's name out there more, see better in the products, better in the content. Those are the main thing for me is making sure the product is the best that it can be. But obviously there's always improvements. So I always reflect on a collection and see like, oh, what can I change? Like, what would I like to change? Just from my personal element. Like if I like might be the size of the hood, size of the pocket, the fit. So I always look at stuff like that. So those are the main 3 things for me. Brand awareness, obviously better in the product, and obviously just better content.
Facts. I'm so excited to see your stuff.
Yeah, like that's it, man. I'm taking it. I'm not rushing. Like, you see, I'm not rushing. I don't want to put products out that are not in time for the brand. Like, it is taking a risk, but sometimes taking too big of a risk may damage
backfire.
you.
No, facts. Yeah. I think it's important that you said that as well, because I feel like we defo live in a time in terms of like hustle culture and stuff where crazy risks are really, really celebrated. But I think it's important that people understand.
They don't understand the backstory.
Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And when I say that, 2 people from 2 completely different backgrounds, both deciding to do the same thing, that doesn't make their risk exactly the same.
Yeah,
do you know what I'm saying? Because one person could have more to lose. And I think it's definitely important for people within fashion, up and coming designers, to understand that, because yes, you may have your last £100 and somebody may tell you, bruv, put it into your next collection or whatever. I'm not saying you shouldn't, but if that last £100 needs to go to, I don't know, your daughter's, what's that baby formula thing called? SEMA or something like that. Something like that. If it needs to go into something like that, then maybe you should just chill a bit. Do you know what I'm saying? And that's perfectly fine. Your time will come where you can really elevate. Do you know what I'm saying, man? But so do you goal set?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do. Like, so what I'll do, I done a mood board the other day. So I'll do goals, but then I'll put systems on like how to achieve them.
Oh, that's sick.
Yeah, so it's just like I'm not just looking at what I want to like. I put like what I actually have to do to achieve
tangible things you got to do to get there. So you've done that for 2022, yeah?
Yeah, I've done that already.
So what does success for Voir L'avenir look like?
I think it's just, like I said, building a brand that's based around being authentic. I'll be real. Like, in terms of like fashion, I'm someone who wants comfort and obviously quality at the same time. Like, there's times where you want to like obviously wear like the bougie stuff. Obviously, I'm trying to do that as well, but within time. So for Voir L'avenir, like I said, it's all about just being authentic, obviously keeping stuff within reason and building a brand that basically resonates with people.
You're definitely doing that, man. Because your brand resonates with me, bro. I can't lie.
Obviously, the name, innit? Everyone, how I describe it is like everyone, you've got to see the future, innit? Obviously, sometimes you're blindsided when you go through stuff, but you got to get past that. Like, that's the only way that you're gonna get that goal, innit? Like,
no, facts. If you don't see the future,
if you don't see it, then
how
it's
can
not
you
gonna
believe?
happen.
Yeah, how can you believe that you're gonna get there? Do you know what I mean?
Obviously,
I'm so happy the way this interview's gone, because I think we've done well at speaking about both the brand and you, innit?
Yeah.
So I kind of just want to ask more questions about you. Don't worry, they're not personal questions.
No.
Because I could just throw one in there, innit? But what sort of brands do you kind of look to as like a reference to kind of help you? What sort of people inspire you? Just in general, it doesn't even have to be within fashion.
Yeah. So like the brands, the brands that I really like. There's 2 brands that I like the most: Amiri and Rude.
And Rude is Rude Dutch?
No, it's American.
American,
The brand's from LA. It's RHUDE.
Okay.
Wavy bang, turn of content, product, everything, like website, bro, I love it. Like, obviously I'll never buy it, like obviously, yeah, don't get me wrong, like maybe one day, like I'll start.
No, God willing.
But yeah, like man, love that stuff. And in UK, I like Represent, Benjot.
Yeah, man, big up Represent, Benjot, all of them.
Those 2 really.
And what is it you like about them?
I just think like their journey, innit? Obviously, Benjot's journey has just been mad. Obviously, man's seen it. Like, I've bought stuff from the beginning, and you've seen it now. Harvey Nichols and that. So
yeah, crazy, man.
Makes sense. Like,
yeah, man.
If like I said, seeing that, it's like cool. It inspires obviously the younger lots like us. So it makes sense.
Facts. Definitely done their thing. In terms of individuals, that have inspired you, I hope you clock what I did there. in terms of individuals that inspire you, like the reason I asked this is because I listened to Ben Foster's podcast, the Fozcast. You know the former United keeper?
Yeah, the one that plays for Watford.
Yeah. He's got a sick podcast.
Yeah, he's got a sick one. I've seen it. He had Ramsdale on there, innit?
Yeah, bro, lit. Make sure you don't really like
I don't like it.
Yeah, exactly. So no need. But anyway, he always asks his guests, if you could go on a night out with 3 people from any time in history or wherever, who would it be? I'm not necessarily going to ask you that, but you can't answer that one if you want. But like who inspires you? Who are the individuals that really have helped you to maybe get where you are, whether it's through inspiration or helping you tangibly, or just in general, who do you look up to?
Obviously sports wise, I'd say Ronaldo. That guy is dedicated. Like he's the GOAT, innit? So I gotta keep it real. Like his like journey, like from United to Madrid, stuff like that. Man, that's inspirational. Also 50 Cent. I'll keep it real. I like what 50 Cent's doing. How he's transitioned from music, obviously like director production, and how he's like got like the whole power thing going on, like
an empire.
Yeah, it's like a Marvel universe.
Yeah, no,
like,
for real,
bro. So that I like that. And who else? I'll say, if we're saying fashion now, I'd say like Amiri. I just like his journey, like the amount of detail he puts into products and just the content and just like the story behind it.
And you?
Shut up.
I'm there thinking all you said a famous person that you forgot. Man said himself. No, but for real, but Olu has probably like
the man them, of course, Olu, of course,
because
like it's man them, innit? And like obviously we talk, like we'll go through stuff like, and he'll stop me from doing like mad decisions, like because I could have done mad like put products out where it's like it wouldn't make sense, and he's like, brother, chill, like relax. So of course, like the people around me definitely inspire me.
Nah, that's good. You definitely got to have the right people around you. That to all the listeners as well, man. Like, what did they say? Your network is your net worth, or whatever it is, man. And my mum always said, "Bad company." Gabe, why are you laughing? My mum always said, "Bad company corrupts good character."
Yeah, no, it's true.
So be careful. That's a word. Gabe was gonna get that tatted. So just watch who you're around, innit? But yeah, man. Honestly, Tyrell, this convo's been sick. I just want to ask one more question.
Yeah, of course.
Obviously, we'll ask it to all our guests. You probably know what's coming. If you could give like one piece of advice to anyone within the fashion industry or anyone that wants to get into the fashion industry, what would it be?
I'd say focus on your own journey and don't let outside noise disrupt you, man. That's the main thing.
And how do you kind of do
in
that?
terms of like outside noise? You got to block everything out. Like in terms of like comparing, maybe get an opinion from people who don't really have your best interests. Like you gotta really start looking deep in and understanding who's there for you. I feel like that definitely is something that makes sense.
Bro. Yeah. Tyrell?
Oh gosh.
Hey, no, Tyrell, it was a pleasure. Always a pleasure, man. Tyrell, where can they find you?
At Voir _Lavender on basically all the socials.
Cool.
Yeah.
Great content coming, so make sure you follow that.
Definitely.
Obviously, you know where to find us. I hope you do by now. WMTV _LDN on the Instagram. YouTube, WMTV LDN. Yep. LinkedIn, we're going to get popping on LinkedIn. I've literally said that every episode. So I hope by the time this one is out, we've actually started doing that. Twitter, WMTV LDN, I think. But yeah, man, don't worry. You'll see all of these links and whatnot. But again, Tyrell, thank you so much for coming on. And last but not least, as I always say, keep it locked. If you ever want to take in future episodes on the go, you can also find us on Apple Music and Spotify. When you get there, please, if you don't mind, leave us a 5-star review and whatnot. It will definitely help. And yeah, as I always say, keep it locked.